if you're age 73 or older, listen up here. A deadline is fast approaching for you to take what's called your required minimum distribution, or RMD. Here to explain it, we've got Rita, Assaf, who is the Fidelity Investments Vice President of Retirement Products. Rita, great to have you here with us. Start off simple, perhaps, with us. What is your RMD?
Sure. Thank you for having me. So when you reach age 73, you are required to withdraw a certain amount from your retirement plans, generally pre-tax or tax-deferred balances, such as IRAs or 401ks. And this is called a required minimum distribution, or you might see it abbreviated to RMD. And at a basic level, the IRS is now requiring you to take from these accounts with a deadline of December 31st each year. Unless you're a first-time RMDer, meaning you're turning 73, you can actually delay that first-time RMD until April of the following year. And so the requirement itself may seem more than you would expect. And actually, Fidelity has found that almost 48% of our RMD-eligible clients have not taken any RMD as of right now into satisfying it before that 12/31 deadline. And that's a little troubling because you may face a penalty, which is equal to 25% of the amount not taken.
Wow. Okay, so how does someone calculate their RMD for 2024?
Well, what you normally do is take the balance of what your account was on December 31st, and then divide it by what we call life expectancy factor, which is set by the IRS. And I know that's a complex term, but this corresponds with what your age and what is known as the IRS uniform table. So if we just use an example, let's say you have an IRA account balance of $100,000 as of December 31st, and this is of the prior year. To calculate your RMD, you would use a life expectancy factor of 26.5 if you're 73. So if you just take 100,000 divided by 26.5, it's about 37.73, so $33,773. But here's the good news. Almost every provider provides your RMD amount, so there's nothing to worry about you actually calculating. It is provided for you. And we do see clients taking advantage of what we call automatic withdrawals to help them avoid missing that deadline.
So what happens if you forget to take your RMD? Are there any backstops to that IRS penalty that you just mentioned?
There are. If you take the RMD in what is referred to as timely by the IRS, which is generally reported as within 2 years of when you miss that RMD, you can actually bring down that penalty from 25% to 10%. But you really want to try to avoid missing that penalty just because it's another tax implication for you. And it's best if you can just to set up those automatic reminders or automatic withdrawals so that you no longer have to worry about it.
So what are reasons that people give for not taking their RMD?
A lot of the times they forget, and one of the complexities that actually comes up is the fact that they have retirement accounts of multiple providers. So they may not realize that they have to take RMDs from different accounts with multiple providers, and that adds to the confusion. And that's where it's important where you have this retirement income plan where you know where your accounts are and know where you need to take the withdrawals so that you can best support what your withdrawal strategy is.
You know, with all this in mind, what is the taxation that is typical for RMDs? How are they taxed?
So they're generally taxed as income or ordinary income in the year that they're taken. If you, for some reason, have after-tax money, including non-deductible contributions, which is usually in a traditional IRA, you will have to calculate your RMD based on that total balance, but your taxable income may be reduced proportionally for the after-tax amount. So it is ordinary income, although we find that people pay it differently, whether they do it right at the moment of the transaction or they do it as one lump sum, taken for all their RMDs at a later time of the year.
And lastly, while we have you, what should retirees ultimately do with their RMD?
Well, some people do live off of it, and that is another way to supplement their retirement income. But we do have other ways that we think through to help clients, which is you can invest it. So if you don't need it for your day-to-day living expenses, this is where you can transfer it to a non-retirement account and reinvest it, or even gift for future generations. Thinking of just like a 529 for grandchildren. Second, you could spend it. So that's just one option. Use it for travel, use it for fun. And then lastly, you can gift it. So one way to avoid the taxation on an RMD is to do what we call a qualified charitable distribution. So that'll help you lower your taxable income. And this is a good way to give back to your favorite charity.
Very nice. All right, Rita, Assaf, thanks so much for taking the time and the breakdown on all things RMDs. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly.